Welcome to the Keys to Good Food. I'm Jane Key, Dietitian and Chef with Kettering Health Network. The goal of this series is to provide food preparation videos right here from my home kitchen. The series is called The Keys to Good Food. I want to show you how easy it is to make simple and tasty recipes that are not only good for your health, but that your family and friends will enjoy as well. So please join me as I show you how to blend the joy and art of cooking with the science of nutrition. I'm constantly learning about food, nutrition, and cooking, and I want to share this with you. Please join me on this journey. Let's get started. Today we're going to make a quinoa black bean salad. This salad is not only simple to make, but it has a lot of beautiful colors in it, which means that it has a lot of nutrient density. It can be served by itself as a side dish or actually used as a main dish as well. Or supposing that you want to add a little animal protein to it, you could put some fish or chicken on it and enjoy that in that way. So we're going to start out by cooking our quinoa. Quinoa actually is an ancient seed. Comes from South America. It's a complete protein, so those of you that are vegetarian, it's a great way to get protein. It has B vitamins, lots of fibers, vitamins, and minerals. So a lot of people have a tendency to shy away from cooking quinoa, but we're going to learn how to do that and how it can be a great part of a beautiful salad. So I'm going to step over to the cooktop and let's learn how to cook the quinoa. Talk about how to cook our quinoa from the dried state. Quinoa, as we know, is a small seed that needs to be cooked, and when it's cooked it'll bloom up to be softer and can be then added to our salad. With the quinoa, you need to know that it has a film on it when it grows, and that's what protects it from the pests in nature. So we need to rinse that film off, and if you don't, then your salad might have a soapy taste to it. So you put your dry quinoa in a fine mesh strainer and then just run the water over it until all of the quinoa has absorbed some of the water. You'll see that it blooms up a bit, but then it's ready to be put into your pot. I have a pot of boiling water. I'm going to put so this is 1.5 cups of boiling water to 1/2 cup quinoa. And then just like rice, when you cook any grain like this, it'll triple. So I'll end up with about 1.5 cups of cooked quinoa when I am finished. So I'm going to stir this and then turn it down to a simmer. And a simmer is when you have small bubbles but not a rapid boil. And I'm just going to leave it like this for 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes until the water absorbs, and then the quinoa will bloom to look like this, and then I'm ready to incorporate this cooked quinoa into my quinoa and black bean salad. So now that we have our cooked and cold quinoa, I'm going to go ahead and add it to our mixing bowl. I did want to mention too that if quinoa comes in different colors, so there's black quinoa and then there's tri-colored. So if you want to have a little bit more interest to your salad, you could try one of those. So I have my 1/2 cup quinoa that has bloomed up to about 1.5 cups now. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix my dressing that's going to go in there. So I'm going to start with the olive oil and add that to my bowl. And if you don't want to use olive oil, any neutral tasting oil will work as well. I'm going to add some lime juice to this, and this is fresh squeezed lime juice. Keep in mind when you're making a recipe that it's always a great idea to use fresh squeezed juice over something that comes already prepared. It has a tendency to perk up the flavor a bit and be quite tasty. I wanted to show you a nifty way to squeeze a lime, or a lemon also works. You can certainly do it by hand, like most of us might try to do, or you can put it on a fork and squeeze it this way, but I find it difficult to get all the juices out of the citrus. And so this nifty tool is a juicer for citrus. You put your half a lemon, half a lime in there, squeeze it down. And those of you that have challenges with your hand, that juicing's difficult, this is a pretty nifty and quick way to get all the juice out of your lime or lemon or whatever you might be using. Okay, we have 2 spices in here. Cumin is one of them. Cumin is a Middle Eastern Indian spice often used in curries. Adds a lot of robust flavor, depth of flavor. So we have that to add, and then I have coriander, which in the United States, it's interesting. Coriander, the green part of coriander is actually called cilantro, and then when the cilantro goes to seed, or bolts as we call it, that's when we get coriander seeds. So it's actually the same plant, just a different point in time in the plant. Okay, and then I have fresh cilantro, which I'm going to add into the dressing as well. And I wanted to show you that this is what cilantro looks like when you buy it fresh. And you can store cilantro in the refrigerator. You can wrap it in a paper towel. You can also take your cilantro, this works with basil too, and stand it up in a glass and fill the glass with water and then cover it with a plastic bag. That's a great way to keep an herb. Or this nifty thing is actually an herb keeper that you put your herbs in that you have washed, and then you spin it. So it's a spinner, spins the water out, and then it keeps beautifully in here until you're ready to chop it up for whatever you want to use it in. Okay, I also have scallions that go in here, a couple tablespoons of scallions. Scallions are green onions. You can use down to the bulb and up to the green. The only thing I would say about green onions as you use them is you want to be sure to wash them very well, because that can be a source of foodborne illness. So make sure that you wash your scallions quite well. So we have our dressing together, cooled quinoa, the dressing. Then here comes the vegetables. I have chopped up, like a medium chop, green pepper and red pepper. And then it calls for tomatoes. And I chose to use grape tomatoes and cut them in quarters because the tomatoes themselves were quite large. And you want to think about when you take a bite of something to eat a whole tomato. Okay, so I quartered those to make those look pretty. So I have the peppers and the tomatoes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my bowl. And then we also have black beans that go into this. So black beans, you can cook them from the dried state, which is perfectly fine. You have to soak them overnight and then switch your water out, bring it to a boil, turn them down, and you want your black beans to be soft, not mushy. Or if you don't want to spend the time doing that, you can buy canned black beans, and I would just put them in a strainer and rinse them off, because you'll lose a lot of the sodium, as well as if the can has a metallic, sometimes the cans have a little bit of a metallic taste to them. Okay, and black beans are a beautiful source of protein. Very, very good source of fiber. If you're on a budget, beans are a great budget-friendly protein as well. So, and they add beautiful color contrast. And you can see that this has sort of a feel of the cumin and the coriander, and now I'm going to add green chilies. So it has a little bit of a southern flair to it. A little bit of a southwest, flair, and so it comes together, and we want to just stir it gently to distribute the green chilies. Now I want to talk for just a moment about green chilies. You can roast your own green chilies. Anaheim chilies or poblanos will work. If that doesn't suit you, you can buy green chilies from the grocery store in the can, and most of them are mild. So if you like, or someone that likes a kick, you might want to you can put in a little other kinds of peppers, but these green chilies in the can are roasted. That's the difference. And so you could roast your own peppers and then just cut them up, which would be beautiful. All right, so we have our quinoa, we have our vegetables, we have our black beans all in place. Then I'm going to take my dressing with my whisk and just mix it up and then pour it over. And then I'll proceed to once again toss this or stir it just gently. You want to be careful to not be too aggressive here because it'll take the beauty of your vegetables away. Then a salad like this is most flavorful if you have the chance to cover it and refrigerate it overnight. And then the next day, it has the ability for the flavors to meld, as we say. Then the next day you can taste it and see, once again, maybe it needs a little bit more spruce of the lime. Maybe it needs a few more of the herbs. But anyway, so that it's pleasing to your taste. I always like to add fresh ground pepper. This is just the niftiest pepper mill ever made. It's a rechargeable one, but you can add in whatever amount of pepper you like. And then I think salt adds a nice, salt is meant to not cover flavors, but is meant to heighten the flavor at the end. So just a little bit of salt makes it, and then we'll stir this in. And as I said, cover it. Then the next day, taste it, correct the seasonings as need be, and then you can enjoy it as a side dish like this, or you could also plate it in the middle of a plate and then make it look pretty. You know, we talked about that we want to have the foods look pleasing to the eye, so you could do a bed of lettuce around, or as I said, then you could also grill a piece of salmon, some chicken, and fan that on top. So you have a all-in-one meal, protein, veggies, your grain, and then your beans as well. So give it a shot and enjoy, and until we meet again, eat well and be well.